Levian High All-Star fam. How are you? You good? Good. This one, green juice, it is celery, 2 apples, a lemon, a knob of ginger, and some clover sprouts, and a pear. Yes. So, I told you that I was fired twice in my radio career, both times for standing up for what was right. I also told you that many moons ago, there was a really talented radio personality who got on Harriet Tubman's airways and disparaged then Senator, who later on became President, Barack Obama, because he would not interview with her when he was the front runner for president against Hillary Clinton. And I also said that the station brass at the time, when she got on those airwaves and she called him every name. I mean, I remember some of them. I'm not even going to bring them into the field because it was just rotten, and it was rotten. And because she had interviewed him before and asked some very inappropriate questions, and then she had the opportunity to interview him again, and he was like, no, you're not gonna get me twice. So the interview went to somebody else. And so she got on the airwaves and she cussed him to the floor. And then she also, I told you that my issue, beyond the sheer unmitigated effery of it all, that she somehow linked that to not only will this man never be president, not only will we never ever have a black president, not only does your vote doesn't matter, why are you voting? And I told you how it caused this uproar of all the people who also felt that way to call and and double down and triple down, and it was just. And I also told you that we at the station, and I really should have said at the station had begun over years, as I was at the station at that time for years, and we had this voting initiative for 18 to 35-year-olds, and we were doing really, really well. And we were having conversations on the air that prior were not being had. We were talking about politics. We were talking about social issues. We were talking about, sure, public affairs shows, sure. But you're talking about, there was this energy, and some of your faves, some of that idea of the hip hop professor and the hip hop talking heads that we understand now as kind of a norm, as part of the culture, there's kind of like a vibe around it. Some of those people, most of those people, if they were in the area, the Philadelphia area that I was in, they were on my show. Anyway, so we had this field going, right? And so this lady gets on the air and she just basically like, your vote doesn't matter. Why are you voting? And it felt like taking 20 steps back. I'm not going to say that it felt personal, because I don't think it had anything to do with me, but it impacted the work that I personally was interested in and up to currently at the time. And then I also noticed that, like I said, that the station brass didn't seem to care at all. And so I wrote a letter. And I wish I could find this letter. I have it somewhere. I do have it somewhere because I keep everything. But I wrote this letter, this powerful, important letter, where I detailed all the work that has gone into the community that we were supposed to be representing, and all the ancestry of our advocating for our community. And to have the head, and we're just going to use the head, but morning shows are usually at stations, they're flagship shows. So they lead the energy of the station. They lead they're leaders. They're one of the biggest day parts, and it sets the tone for what the station image, the station branding, the station idea of itself. And I have to find this letter, but I wrote this letter, and it was brilliant. It was a masterpiece in reminding us of who we are and why we got into radio and all of the things. And I sent that letter because I didn't know what else to do. I sent that letter to everybody at the local level of the station, and I sent it to all of the station brass. I CC God, okay? Because it was that important to me that at least someone understands that this is not okay. That we do not tell our listening audience that their vote doesn't matter, that being a part of the political process doesn't matter, that making their voices heard doesn't matter. I don't care what you think. Personally, we understand that voting or not voting has consequences, right? And so, honey, that letter was the beginning of the end. And it was swift. It was swift. It did not take long. And I'm also going to tell you that I was not even called into the office when I was fired. I was not told in person that I was fired. There was an email while I was not in the office that went around. They sent an email, okay? And I was told, somebody called me and was like, hey, Envy, what happened? So I was told while I was pulling into the parking lot of the station where it was at the time, I was sitting in my car and I was getting phone calls from people that said that they had heard that I was no longer with the station and to wish me well. So, standing on business, standing up for what was right, and really just speaking truth to what the company said was their core values. But I actually live by it, and just remind him. And mind you, I'm an extraordinarily professional person. I didn't say anything crazy. I didn't say, whatever. I just told the truth. And I'm just going to remind you that everybody don't want to come. And, I learned how petty businesses can be when you call them out on their stuff. And not even, it is their stuff, but I just want you to keep that in mind, that this work that we're up to is, it's deep work. And you have to be clear about who you are and what you're willing to do for the cause. Okay? I keep thinking about what I would have done differently. Would I have not sent it to everybody and CC'd God on it? But I think that's what actually saved me, because by making sure everybody knew my stance on this, there is not only a paper trail, but there is, do you know what I mean? They're receipts. And so I think if there is a key message here, is that if you're going to speak on business loud and proud. CC God on it. Because if you do it quietly, they will, if they want to get rid of you, they will. But no one will know the wiser. And I think the key thing that I probably would have changed is that I would have told my story sooner, because people needed to know, even though people knew. I got calls from all kinds of places. They're like, what? Ooh, Envy, I heard. But I never spoke on it. And I was protecting myself, and I was protecting, like I said yesterday, I was kind of trying to, I didn't do anything wrong. Do you get what I mean? I didn't do anything wrong. And it's embarrassing to be fired, and especially the way that I was. It's the equivalent of being fired by a Post-it note. And I'm still not even sure if I'm completely over it. You see that there's some energy around it, because it was so disrespectful. And I had been with the station so long, and I had contributed so much. We had just won awards, plural, for the show I was doing at the time. So I don't want to say they don't care, but I do want to say that you have to care more. And whatever spirit is calling you to do that, and trust that you will land on your feet, because I did eventually. And I think I'm just going to leave that there, because we're running long. But Levian House Star people, I love you. Be safe out there.